Hello Star Citizens, Buzzkiller here, and welcome back. Today, we're taking a look at the Anvil Hawk. The Hawk is Anvil's bounty hunting ship, and as with the Arrow, it's competing with established entry-level bounty hunter ships in the Aegis line, namely the Avenger Stalker. So eventually I'm going to have to pull some comparisons between the two. However, before we do that, let's take a look at the Anvil Hawk itself. Now, just by looking at it, you can see that this is probably one of the most unique non-alien ships in the game right now. It's got a very, very unique design, but it still manages to hold some of the Aegis aesthetics. You've got the angled cockpit once again, the dual intakes. It's got a circular section on the rear in the form of it. I think that's the EMP emitter, because yes, the ship does have an EMP generator as well, so pretty interesting. It has folding wings, spindly landing gear, and yeah, it's just really, really interesting looking ship. In landing configuration, you really can't get a sense for what the ship actually looks like, so I'll have to take it up and show you here in just a moment. But let's start off with the ground level look. So I've already done a little walk around, but let's take a closer look from the actual first person view here. You can see in the central section you have what looks to be like an insect's thorax. It holds the central landing gear, and this is also where your prisoner pod is. So let me open this up, and you can see where the prisoner is housed in this little seat back here. And it's a pretty cramped little confined space. So let's take a look. I'll go ahead and go in and show you what this actually looks like here. As you sit in the seat, you can see the restraints close around the legs, and then the bar comes around your chest. And then you're sucked up into the thorax here, and it's a very, very confined space, very claustrophobic, so not a lot of creature comforts. But then again, this is not guest quarters. This is for prisoners. I like the touch that it has a little Anvil logo down there saying, hey, you've been captured by Anvil. So that's pretty interesting. Now, there is the ability to log out in this seat. I think that's temporary. For now, that's in there. I think it's tied to the code somehow, but CIG has already said that they're not going to allow that in the future. So no bed on this ship to log out from. At least there won't be. Now, the way bounties work is, or they're supposed to work, is you'll capture your prisoner and you'll put them in the back and you'll take them in and collect your bounty. In the case of player characters, what's going to happen is as soon as you capture that player and put them in the rear of this ship, they're going to cut away, and basically an NPC is going to take their place. That's to keep you from holding someone in your ship indefinitely or whatever. So it's kind of an anti-trolling technique. What they'll do is they'll probably go to a prison facility or some kind of holding facility where they'll have to pay their fine or do their time, basically, and you'll be taking them in to collect the bounty. And once you do that, once you turn in that NPC dummy, you will get paid. So once again, just looking at the ship, it's got some pretty interesting features here. The ship is really, really highly articulated, probably nearly as articulated as the Cartual Scout. So it's got a lot of interesting angles here. The landing gear comes out of the main wings, and they have to fold down. Your main weapons are carried in these pods, and they're all attached to that secondary wing. So you've got the top and bottom weapon pod, and you can see they're actually attached to this inner wing here, which I'm not sure what the purpose is. It's actually just there, I think, just to look cool. But the downside to that is if this wing gets blown off, you lose those weapons. So right now, that happens quite often. The firepower is really good. These are 4 size 2 fixed laser cannons, so you've got pretty much the same armament as a Vanguard, with the addition, as one of the Vanguard's firing groups anyway, with the addition of these 2 size 1 fixed distortion cannons, which do extra damage to shields and electronic systems. So supposedly this will help you disable a ship instead of destroy it. Your other non-lethal option being, of course, the EMP generator, which I'll demonstrate shortly. So again, pretty interesting looking ship. Now, one feature that I missed and was brought to my attention in YouTube comments was that there is a weapon rack back here by the rear landing gear. And this is important because in the future, you're not going to be able to carry a weapon or even wear heavy armor while you're flying one of these fighters. So that's a nice little addition that should make this a better bounty hunting ship. So thanks, Mel, for pointing that out. Entry to the ship is accomplished from the bottom. It's very similar to the Gladiator and what is the other ship that does it? The Hurricane. Both have lower entry methods, but it's kind of unique in the animation. So I'm going to go ahead and open the exterior, which is going to move this panel. And you also see that the two weapons, the two distortion cannons, the areas that they're mounted on, separate and move out of the way. And that exposes the bottom of the seat. Now when we enter, of course, the seat's going to come down and we'll sit down. Oop, there we go. So again, very unique entry animation. Let's take a look at that again from a purely first-person view. Okay. See everything closing up. Okay, I must have moved, so let me try it again. There we go. Very quick and snappy animation. I like that. Allows for quick entry. The cockpit itself, again, pretty basic Anvil. It's a little more updated, more switches than knobs and more modern switches anyway than other ships. You still have a few old school switches and knobs here, but it seems a little more digital than something like the Arrow. You have, again, there's your little lower viewport that kind of helps you lining up for landing, but not much because you have to actually look down. As you're just flying, you can't really see it that well, so you actually have to physically move your head down to do that. Now if you have track IR or something, that's not a big deal. Decent viewing angles. It's still got the long struts in the way, kind of like most Anvil ships, and you have a nice view of all 4 MFDs as well as your radar. So let me go ahead and power up and you can kind of see that.
Anvil Aerospace, all systems online.
There we go, kicking up some dust from the engines. But you see you have a holographic control here. This is your radar. You can also use it as a nav map, so if you want to set your destination, you can do that as well. Yeah, pretty cool. You got all your standard buttons. Exit and eject. So pretty cool. You have a HOTAS setup. I think it's the same stick. Yeah, it kind of looks like the Warthog from the Arrow. So pretty interesting. All right, let's go ahead and take off here. We're starting to lose daylight. Kind of turn into the sun a little bit. And I'll show you the animation for the landing gear. So this is a pretty cool animation. All the wings move. So even the inner wings kind of move a little bit. And of course the landing gear retracts. So watch this. There we go. So you see the main wings come and fold out into their flight position, and then the inner wings kind of rotate inwards. Let me show you that again because it's pretty complex. It's hard to catch everything in one try. There you go. Again, pretty cool. Interesting, very unique design. It kind of reminds me of a cross between like a pterodactyl. They kind of got the pterodactyl's beak and his crest in the back there. A cross between a pterodactyl and I don't know, like a stingray from the ocean with the wings there. It's very Gundam. if you look at the crest on a Gundam, this ship kind of looks like that. Of course, from the top you can see that circular section that all Anvil ship has, and of course in this ship that is your EMP generator. Let's go ahead and take a little flight here. The ship's pretty quick. It's actually classified as a light fighter. It's not as nimble as something like the Arrow, but it's also much longer range. Let me check the top speed here. Yeah, top speed's 275, so it's a little faster in a straight line than the Arrow. It's got decent roll, yaw, and pitch rate. Again, not as fast, but this is a multi-role ship, so it's not, well, by multi-role I mean it's a fighter and a bounty hunter, but really it's just a bounty hunter, because I guess all bounty hunter ships are going to have to be some kind of fighter. The main weapons again, you've got those 4 laser cannons and 2 distortion cannons, and then you have the EMP generator, which you have to power up separately. So let me go ahead and do that. Go into menu here. Well, actually, I was on the right menu already. So power, items. Let me go ahead and zoom in and scroll down to find the, there we go, Tromag burst generator. So let's turn that on. See, it's powering up. And then the secondary fire controls that. So that's not my secondary fire. Okay, secondary fire controls that. Here we go. So it begins to charge. Try to zoom out as much as I can. Oh, the ball disappeared. Okay, it's charged, and then you fire. And that, of course, will drop the shields of just about any ship if you're close enough. I think the range is pretty close. You have to be within 1,000 meters definitely for it to hit. Really within 500 meters if you really want to get the full effect. And it does drop your shields a little bit as well, so be cognizant of that. And supposedly, eventually that's going to shut down ship systems completely. And now it has worked in Arena Commander a couple times. And yeah, I guess that's probably our next step. We'll head into Arena Commander and see how she does combat-wise. Okay, so unfortunately I was unable to take this ship into Arena Commander. I don't know if it's my account or if it's the latest 3.4.1 patch, but I was unable to even select it. Luckily I did do some combat testing in 3.4, and I can tell you the ship is quite powerful. Its main weapons, the 4 size 2s and the 2 size 1 distortion cannons, are very powerful. It's on par with the main weapons on the Vanguard. So you've got a very decent ship here. The EMP generator is kind of hit or miss. It works well in Arena Commander. It will actually knock down ships, shut them down, and send them tumbling in Arena Commander when you get a full charge hit. But in the PU, it doesn't seem to do that. The most it mostly does is knock down some shields. So I'm not sure if that's just an online issue with the netcode, or if one of those methods is how the EMP generator is actually supposed to work. But for now, just know that it's a very powerful fighter. It has the capacity to do bounty hunter missions once they're released in the future. We're still waiting for the final mechanics on those, obviously. And that you have an option of either this, or if you want to go cheaper, you can get the Aegis Avenger Stalker, which also comes with distortion weapons and no EMP, obviously, but it does have the capacity of holding 6 bounty targets. Again, I'm not sure if there's going to be a whole lot of missions where you have to go out and capture 6 people, but it's an interesting option. Maybe as part of a group play, but this is probably your more solo bounty hunting ship. It's able to go out and get the job done by itself with 1 person. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, this has been Buzzkiller, and I'll see you in the verse.